That's your first sort of, for me anyway, that was my first gateway to the community.
Yeah.
Welcome to another timeless moment brought to you by the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. If you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to support the show, please hit that subscribe button and tick that bell so you get notified whenever we go live. See you in the comments. Today's timeless moment, or today's timeless topic, is following on from our little first year in the hobby. I thought we'd go a little bit deeper into your local card store.
Yep.
So I suppose it's not something all of us have an abundance of access to, because they're, depending where you live, there's stores everywhere, or there might not be stores for quite a distance.
Yeah.
So traveling, so the in-store experience can vary from person to person, but
Yeah.
I believe the way the hobby is at the moment, we do have a lot of opportunities, a lot of choices, if you want to travel. What have you found in the hobby since? I'm going to talk post-COVID. I'm going to say in the 2020s. We're now in 2025. My thought is that there's a lot of hobby stores around.
Yes, I think definitely there's more competition in terms of hobby shops opening. And for me, the really interesting part of that is I sort of view this as this is not even the peak like hobby time.
No.
I feel like the shops that probably did the best were the ones that were already open and established, and then they had a really sweet time during COVID and did really well.
Yeah.
So for me, I find it actually quite interesting when I think about hobby shops, how they're functioning now in this sort of in the current times, because like there's a lot of different things that would impact hobby shops. The exchange rate is terrible at the moment.
That's locally in Australia. The exchange
Running
rate's
running a
awful.
business in Australia is just hideously expensive at the moment, and that's
Yep.
something that probably needs to be addressed, not on this podcast, but like by the Australian government. And then also too, there's sort of an argument to be made that there is actually a bit of a downturn in the hobby at the moment. So for me, the way I view this is the people who are doing it either have to be doing it because they love the hobby so much, or they're doing it even though the timing's wrong. And actually it might turn out, badly. Like not all businesses survive. And I'm saying that in a very kind way too. I don't mean this as like a diss.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
if people are doing it, either they're incredibly brave or they just love what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the thing that, probably leads into my second part is the customer service. I think the reason why you would go to a hobby shop these days, or one of the reasons I go to a hobby shop, is for customer service, because like the thing about cards, and one of the reasons for the massive boom in is because of the availability and the accessibility. It just became so much easier for people to get their hands onto singles, to get their hands onto boxes via eBay, Facebook groups, and then of course, without going in too much into box breaks, but the breaking aspect opened up the hobby, a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're shopping online, you don't have that person to talk to. You don't have that customer service.
Yeah.
You don't have that forward-facing approach. It's very much sort of like a business angle. And so I think when you're going to a card shop, I feel like the loyalty that you have to that card shop, a lot of that is based on that relationship base that you have and, the customer service. So, I've definitely had some experiences in card shops where I'm not that fussed about going back, and most of it is to do with the customer service or the lack of customer service that you might get in a shop. So
I think you touch on a very important aspect of the in-store experience, and to me it's about that experience. The people are really important. That's not just the people behind the counter. That's the people that are around, in and around. It's the furniture. It's the people. And when I talk about furniture, I don't mean the chairs and the tables. I mean those customers that live at the store. They're the ones that are always there. From open till close, talking with the shopkeep.
Yeah, annoying them basically.
Annoying the shopkeep, but they build that rapport with you. They will talk about your personal collection. They're the stores that you walk in and they know what you collect. They know who you collect. They know what products you like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's having that community. That's your first sort of, for me anyway, that was my first gateway to the community.
Yeah.
I was interested in sports cards, and there are a few guys at school that were interested in sports cards, but it didn't open me up to how wide this world could be until I'd found a shop. And when I started, there were a few shops. I would go into the city. There would be stores at local markets. There are a couple of shops in the Melbourne CBD. If you travel out to the outer suburbs, there are another couple of shops.
Yeah.
And there are a variety of places you could pick up cards. Each store had a different type of reputation. And I think it is finding your people, so to speak. That shopkeeper that does take a note to say that you're... I mean, I'm a Kobe Bryant collector, so that's not difficult to look out for Kobe's, right? But
Yeah.
I also collect Scottie Pippen, and I also collect Julius Randle. Do you know what I mean? So if the shopkeeper remembers that I'm a Randle collector and somebody brings in cards, and they're like, get a message. Hey, Adam, there's a new Randle that just came in. You interested in this? And you get a photo. It's that, and that's, you were talking about customer service.
Yeah.
That's that
knowing the
extra
customers.
level of, knowing your customer base is super important there.
Yeah.
But having the community, having good stuff available. Obviously, if the shop's just one cabinet, no dollar boxes or stuff to pilfer through.
Yeah.
What's the reason you keep going back? It's the discussion, it's the banter. You'd like to hope that the pricing's reasonable. Every business needs to make money, but hopefully not gouging their customers. But you find those things out by going into stores and seeing what the vibe is like in different places.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the things that you look for when you do go to a card shop? Like, what is it that you want from a card shop when you go in there? What makes you go back?
What makes me go back? Product range.
Yeah, right.
Decent product selection. Having something a little bit different that catches the eye. I've been to a lot of different stores. I need to feel comfortable hanging out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, just comfortable. Doesn't necessarily need to be like a couch or chairs and stuff, but I need to feel comfortable with the people I'm surrounded by. I don't want to feel guarded, or like if I put my bag down, someone's gonna run out the door with it. Like, I want to feel safe when I go in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I want a good range of products. I do like a good dollar box or stuff to flick through. Something to sort of keep my attention. And then it's always nice, and this is something I've remembered from the few unique stores that I've been to, is the ones where you know that the owner is a collector, and that they've got a bit of their personal stuff there. And they've got it on display, and they're like, this is what got me in. And that's their story. And then you can engage with that story. I think that's really, really important. It's nice to... That's what we love talking about our hobby. So telling our stories about the random Julius Randle cards I've got, or how I got this one of one, or some card story that I just wanted to talk about because of the people I met or the card that I pulled.
Yeah.
It's that's the environment. So being open to meeting new people and a friendly vibe in the store is my big thing. And product range.
So basically, the few notes I wrote down for this, you've already touched on. So variety, that's really important for me. You know, the way that I look at buying sealed these days is just polar opposite to what it used to be. Like, I used to sort of treat myself to a box of sealed each year.
Yeah.
But I just feel like now with the price of sealed boxes and what you get back from it, even if you do really well out of a sealed box, it's like, are you even going to break even? So, like, for me, buying sealed is just I approach it just much differently now. I'm like, okay, well, if I really wanted to buy this box of sealed, am I better off just buying the single, or should I just go into a break? So,
interesting.
For me, I'm more buying retail these days. Like, I'm very much moving away from buying hobby. And actually, the stuff I've most been enjoying ripping lately is like the fat packs and the mega packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I spend more of my time looking at that in terms of buying sealed. The other thing you spoke about too is like singles boxes. And the way I think about this is the best experience I've ever had in a card shop in my life was at Burbank. And so the reason why I like Burbank is because like the range that they had was just insane. And it's unfair to compare other shops to Burbank, but I think if you want to talk about, gold standard and what you can look at. So they had all the ranges. So they had cards for 10 cents. They had cards for $1. Then they had cards that were in like the sort of the $5 range, then the $10 range, and they had like the bargain boxes where they had low graded PSA cards that you couldn't sell if they weren't $10 or $15. But there was still some really good value and some good finds in there.
Yeah,
And
for
then they had
sure.
all their cards on display. And I suppose if I'm making a local example of that, I think obviously they're a sponsor, and obviously I'm biased on this. So, if people want to push back on me, I think that's totally fine. But I just feel like the lads at Fast Break, they put a lot of effort into their displays, obviously displaying aesthetically pleasing cards in that sort of higher range. But they've
Yeah.
also spent a lot of time like curating and putting cards into those different boxes. So they've got 1, 5, and 10, I think is off the top of my head what their
Yep.
boxes are.
Yep.
And it's just a good experience to go down there and like TV's on the background, all the sports are playing, and you're sitting there just like flicking through the boxes. Like,
Yep.
I enjoy that experience. And so I do think like one thing that I do struggle with a little bit sometimes when I go to hobby shops, and what makes me go back or not want to go back is just the size of the shop. Because
Okay.
if you've been into a small shop, it's kind of like, okay, it's pretty small. What's the chances that I'm going to go back in a month and the stock is 100% turned over? Probably in my head, whether this is true or not, I'm like, it's not there. Whereas if you're going to a bigger shop, I'm probably more likely to go back and sort of spend, more time going through boxes if I had a good experience.
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's the big one.
Yep.
And maybe that's, I think that's also a little bit of the size in our population where Australia does sort of struggle a bit, in compared to other shops. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've been to some shops in Japan and Singapore, and it was the same thing. It's just, the size and the amount of variation that's available for you just to sit there and flick through.
Yep.
We have a little bit of trouble competing with that. And
We do.
I kind of get it a little bit too, because like that's again reflecting back on Burbank, like they were big on. So once I picked cards out of boxes, they actually took them off me.
Yep.
So they didn't let people walk around with bunches of cards that they can then
Wow.
steal and
Okay.
put into their bag. And at the time, I wouldn't say I was off put by it, but um, it was kind of one of those experiences. I wasn't expecting that to happen, so I was a bit like, oh, like what's going on? But I kind of get why that they would want to protect their assets in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
What else do we need to talk about when it comes to card shops? What else can a local card shop do for you?
Um. Well, I guess that's they're your gateway to the hobby, as I touched on.
Yeah.
They can pass on information. They can introduce you to other collectors.
Yeah.
I think trade days are a really important part of the community we're in.
Yeah.
And one of the things, if you do have a local card store, check out, see when they've got their next trade day. Head on down, check it out. I know you've already touched on our sponsor, Fastbreak. There are other stores that don't necessarily sponsor us, but we've been to.
Why don't we reminisce about our days with EJ Cards? I think that's fine, man.
EJ Cards is a good
Yeah.
one.
Those trading days were sick. They were good days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's those. It's interesting because I remember my first lot of trading days were cherry trading days.
Yeah.
And this is back before they sort of exploded on the scene. This is
Can you beep out cherry when you put the podcast up?
Of course.
I'm gonna beep it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went to a couple of collector days there. MSF Pro Cards in Mulgrave. I thought they had the coolest. I've never been to a shop that looked like a man cave. And I tell you what, I could spend the day there. There's a pool table, there's an NBA jam machine, and the NBA's up on.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about that personal touch.
Yeah.
And they've got like signed basketballs and
that's like their dream though, isn't it? Like they had this
their
vision in their head and they've gone out and played it out.
It's like a side project is the hobby side of it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I like going to that, and they actually had a trading day back in January that I wish I had got to, but missed out on. But it's stores like that. You're right. The EJ Cards had a couple of really good ones. There was
Yeah.
a point there where we had to coordinate who was going because it was Pokemon and basketball. There were too many people there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. When you've got, like, having a store that's got a problem of we've got too many people coming down to see us.
Yeah.
Great way to meet people. It's a great, almost like a gateway to going to card shows. It's like making a group of friends locally before you go out to the to a card show, which is the bigger version when you think about it. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I think we
other
can
tips.
I think we can do a little bit of breaking news now. So our sponsors, Fastbreak Trading Cards, will be having a trade day coming up.
Ooh. Breaking news.
It will be marking their 1 year anniversary. And it's going to be their first trade day. So obviously there's going to be a lot more news and advertising pending on this. But we are very excited about this, and I think we will be down there with literal bells on.
We will be down there with bells on, or at least mic'd up and ready to hang out with people.
That's it. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
All right, mate. Final thoughts. What do you got for me?
Final thoughts. Still an integral part of the hobby. A lot less focused on these days because of the I suppose the online aspect of breaking, shopping, etc., right?
Yeah.
But I still think there is a really, really important place for that person-to-person experience, that storytelling, that interactive show us your trades, going up, seeing what's new and available from the local shopkeeper at your local game store or your local hobby store. Sorry.
If you believe the Luber manifesto is that the hobby is only going to double or triple, hopefully there is going to be a very healthy future for trading card shops. So
yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Awesome. This has been fun.
Thanks for a good episode, Ad. Well done.
Thanks for another timeless moment.
Yep.
We'll see you in the next one.
Go Spurs, go.